TomoNews presents Online Dating.
Saudi teen jailed for video chats with 21-year-old California girl.
Wow.
This toothless Casanova from Saudi Arabia has landed himself behind bars for flirting with the forbidden fruit. A series of playful video chats between the young man and a blonde vlogger from California did not go over well with Saudi authorities. For weeks, the Arabic-speaking teen known as Abu Sin had been video chatting with 21-year-old Christina Crockett. The two seemed to be having a good time getting to know each other, even though they didn't speak the same language. Still, he mustered up enough English to tell her how he felt.
I love you, Christina. I love
you, Appleton. I love you so much.
Their bond caught the attention of the internet when the video chats were reposted to YouTube. But unfortunately for Abu Sin, the police were none too pleased. They arrested him for unethical behavior, claiming the enticing videos violated Sharia law and the country's internet regulations.
Girl.
I love you too.
Their innocent digital romance supposedly made Saudi Arabia look bad in the eyes of the world and earned the 19-year-old a spot in the Slammer for 10 days. He has since been released on bond and published this video on October 9th, repenting for his sinful ways. But he could still be facing a 5-year prison sentence and a fine of $800,000.
Fake Grindr profiles bring horny dudes to man's front door. A New York man is waging war on a dating app for gays and bisexuals. He claims over 1,000 strangers have sought him out specifically to get into his pants. The first unwanted suitor showed up on Matthew Herrick's doorstep in October after he was apparently invited over for some recreational coupling by a user posing as Herrick. More visitors began showing up, all demanding a romp in the sack. They'd gotten Herrick's number through the app as well and sent him dick pics and dirty messages. Aggressive strangers even turned up at the restaurant where Herrick worked, some under the belief that the 32-year-old's resistance was part of a rape fantasy. Herrick soon figured out the fake profiles were created by an ex as part of an elaborate revenge scheme. After notifying Grindr multiple times and getting only auto replies, he finally snapped and is now taking them to court. His lawyers are suing for product liability, fraud, and deceptive business practices, since Grindr failed to crack down on the fakes. A lesser-known hookup app took all of 24 hours to get the impersonator accounts and related IP addresses banned. So really, what's Grindr's excuse?
Sexy photos, a scam strategy in online dating app. Wanna touch my body? What would you do if you received this message accompanied by a picture of a hot blonde chick exposing her breasts to the world? But don't be fooled, this is actually a scam by an online dating app. A 30-year-old computer engineer surnamed Lin from Taipei, Taiwan, was recently almost made a victim of this scam. He received a strange message from the online dating app called Hangouts. Someone claiming to be a 23-year-old woman first asked Lin, "Are you looking for some fun?" and sent him a picture of a hot blonde woman. After Lin responded, complimenting the woman's figure, a link to an even filthier photo was sent back with an even racier message. Fortunately, Lin figured something was up and quickly went offline. In Taiwan, most app users who are targeted in such scams are notified to confirm payments for plane tickets or online credit after receiving such messages and pictures. So, the next time you get something like this in your inbox, watch out.
Tinder gets hot and bothered over Vanity Fair dating apocalypse article. An article in Vanity Fair's September issue titled "Tinder and the Dawn of the Dating Apocalypse" looks at modern hit-it-and-quit-it culture and the penetration boning apps are having on the lives of today's 20-somethings. The piece was posted Tuesday night, which then caused Tinder to show the world why kids shouldn't be allowed on Twitter. The 30-tweet tantrum tried to argue the app offers more than just hookups, and also, Tinder is hot in China and North Korea. Tinder and other dating apps didn't invent hooking up or one-night stands. Those have been around for quite some time. Tinder just made the whole process a hell of a lot more efficient. As for the dating apocalypse, maybe Vanity Fair just isn't ready to accept times and dating have changed and that dating apps are here to stay. Well, at least they'll stick around for the next, 10 to 20 minutes.
Move over, Tinder. Mixer cuts out all the romance and gets down to business. Do you know about Tinder? It's a smartphone app that boils down online dating to mere swipes of the finger. If you like the way a guy or a girl is looking, just swipe to the right. If not, then swipe left and move on. If they like you back, then you've got the green light to start chatting away and maybe, just maybe, meet up in real life. It's the app equivalent of that meat market bar in a trendy part of town. Now there's another app that goes one step further and bears all, literally. Called Mixer, it makes no attempt to cover up its reason for existence, nor anything else for that matter. Too hot for Apple or Google's app stores, Mixer exists solely as a mobile-friendly web app. And it's not designed for those who are into dating or even hanging out. This is all about casual sex, folks. But therein lies the problem. See, it's hard enough convincing these hot women to join Tinder, but apparently they happen to be there now according to this Facebook page. Oh, and just so you know we're not totally one-sided here are some of the hot guys of Tinder too. But with Mixer being so blatantly out there, we wonder how many of the site's over 128,000 members are actually female. And out of that number, how many are, well, at least a 6? I don't know too many of us who would want to be trapped in a sausage factory for very long, even if sausages are your thing.
Woman gets shot in the face, carjacked by online date. An unlucky 34-year-old woman from Georgia was shot in the face and robbed by a man she met over an online dating site. The woman met the suspect, who goes by Cash, on dating site Badoo.com. She picked up Cash at the Days Inn Motel around 12:49 a.m., and the two went to Waffle House to grab some food. When they arrived, Cash ran inside and then came back out and told her to park in the dark. She refused. Cash went back in and then came out saying the food wasn't worth $20. On their way back to the motel, Cash pulled out a gun and shot the woman in the face. Cash then jacked her car and her cell phone and purse. Police have released Cash's profile photos in hopes of catching him. The bullet only grazed the woman's jaw, and she was released from the hospital later that day.
Swipe left for no, swipe right for yes, I'd like to be robbed! This is 19-year-old Madeline Capewell, and as you can see, she doesn't like having her picture taken. She is smiling, however, and that's because she just avoided going to jail for being part of a Tinder sex trap robbery team in Australia. Last summer, calling herself Brittany, Madeline hopped on Tinder and searched for a match. It didn't take long. A dude quickly asked for nookie and she asked for dough. Wait, is that how Tinder works? Anyway, Brittany and the man agreed on a place and price, and the man also agreed to her request for a bottle of wild turkey, to help set the mood. After the unidentified Tinderer pulled into the previously agreed parking lot rendezvous point, he got a call from Brittany.
Walk over here and give me a hug.
He did, and the trap was set. "Are you trying to pick up my girlfriend?" screamed a man who seemed to come out of nowhere. Madeline, Brittany's boyfriend, Jack Croucher, along with another geezer, then taught Mr. Tinder that not everyone you meet on the internet is nice. The dude lost his phone, cash, and booze, plus his windscreen, but considering the Tinder sex trap robbers were all allegedly meth heads, it could have been a lot worse. Late last week, a Newcastle District Court judge decided to spare Madeline Capewell prison time, arguing her youth and former use of narcotics led her down the wrong path. You think? In any case, should any online dating enthusiasts in Australia ever see Madeline or Brittany on Tinder again, we suggest swiping left. Details of dismembered Seattle mother's death emerge. Homicide detectives over the weekend found clues as to what transpired before the murder of a Seattle mother of 3, as they worked to piece together what happened the night of her brutal death. Prior to her grisly murder, 40-year-old Ingrid Lynn returned to her home in Renton, Washington last Friday night with 37-year-old John Charlton. The two had reportedly been dating for about a month after meeting online. Charlton claims that he was intoxicated last Friday and doesn't remember the details. But he believes Lynn drove him to Seattle later that night and he slept on the sidewalk. There was no sign of Lynn the next day until a Seattle resident opened up their recycling bin and found parts of Lynn's dismembered body inside. Investigators found a 15-inch pruning saw and an empty box of garbage bags near a bathtub in Lynn's home, along with traces of human flesh and blood inside the drain. Police believe Lynn's body was dismembered at her home in Renton and then driven in Lynn's Toyota Highlander to the dump site. Charlton, the main suspect in the case, denied having any injuries, but detectives observed various abrasions and scratches on his body. Charlton, who has an extensive criminal history, has been booked in jail and held on $2 million bail as police continue their investigation.
Surprise! That cute Japanese girl you're talking to? A man. Dating can be so daunting. Remember those days where people had to do it the traditional way? Coming up to strangers and talking to them? Awkward! As if single life doesn't have enough problems as it is. Thank goodness for dating sites and dating apps that help speed things up. But be wary who you talk to. They might not be who they claim they are, especially in Japan. A Sakura site is a dating site that tricks its members into purchasing special services or membership perks, which doesn't seem so unusual. The popularity of these dating sites prompted the police to investigate an undisclosed number of unnamed sites. The police have discovered that the sites had 2.7 million members, but here's the thing, only one member was actually a woman. Investigations later turned to arrests as police found out that these sites have male workers masquerading as women to scam lonely and desperate single men. Unfortunately, loneliness is exploitable. These sites earned about the equivalent of $52.5 million since they started 10 years ago. Japan's Consumer Affairs Agency has launched a campaign that mocks dating sites and urges people to be more careful. In any case, one should not pay a premium for dating sites and apps. Get out there and mingle. Meeting people is free of charge.
Man seeks love online, but gets insane stalker instead. Ah, true love. It's so hard to find nowadays. That's why so many of us turn to internet dating sites and apps. Unfortunately, when you meet complete strangers, things don't always turn out so well. Case in point, this guy. After meeting and chatting up several young ladies on a popular internet dating site, this Taiwanese man invited one of them over for an evening of fun. Things turned out to be going pretty well, that is, until he fell asleep. That's when his new lady friend grabbed a hold of his phone, logged onto his dating profile, and proceeded to tell the other girls that he now had a steady girlfriend, before deleting their contact info from both the man's phone and his computer. When the man woke up and discovered what had happened, he was furious and threw her out of his apartment. Things didn't end there, though. The woman reportedly began stalking him and even slapped him with a false rape accusation, which made it all the way to court. Yikes! Maybe this guy will screen potential hookups a bit more closely the next time he plans on inviting them over?
Guy uses online dating sites to find burglary victims. Ladies, when meeting a potential love interest from the internet, it's best to play it safe and don't let him know where you live. Police busted this man, age 41, and identified by his last name Yo, for burglarizing at least 3 apartments. Mr. Yo, who's already married, would pose as a single man on the internet who is looking for his Mrs. Right. After striking up a few friendships and possible love interests, he'd arranged to meet up. Mr. Yo would then either find an opportunity to steal and copy the woman's keys, then follow her home, or just steal her credit card. Then he'd take the unlucky victim for all he could get. Mr. Yo's online profile brags that he could get a woman to scream after just 5 minutes. Yeah, scream with horror and shock. So far, 3 of his former online girlfriends have pressed charges, and with CCTV footage from the apartment buildings, it looks like the charges are gonna stick.